All right, let's get on the topic of the death penalty. What's your stance on the
Oh,
death
okay, fine.
penalty?
Yeah, yeah. If I'm correct, Mal, you are on the position that it is always wrong.
It's always wrong with exceptions.
Oh, and Mal, what is your religious background again?
That can be for another time. We're not here on religion.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not arguing on a religious perspective. That's not my.
I know. I was just like Lightning was Jewish. I was wondering what you were.
Yeah, we can do that another time.
Ask me what I am.
What are you?
I'm a Scientologist.
You're Cyclops.
No, you're not. You're actually a Scientologist?
Absolutely.
You are not a Scientologist. You are Cyclops. I know who you are. Carbon left.
On what grounds are you against the death penalty? False.
Well, there are exceptions to it, but generally, I'm against it, being that I don't see it really being necessary.
You're cutting out.
Yeah, I'm on the grounds that I don't really see the death penalty for convicted criminals or convicted people, um, that they ought to receive fatal execution or the death penalty.
Well, you sound like a robot. It's really hard to hear you.
Could everybody else hear me clearly?
Okay, Mon, while you're trying to figure that out, can I just state my position on why I believe it?
Hold on. Can everybody else hear me clearly? That's the question.
Yes.
That's better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and explain your position.
Oh, okay. So we are talking more practically than ideologically. Even if like we believe that like hypothetically murder would be like wrong, if it's the best solution, we can't, have an idealistic perspective where it doesn't work. I think on this premise we could agree with, so I'm not gonna like try to prove this. Unless later on someone argues with it, I'll prove it. Currently, we must agree that the current system is internally screwed. It's a terrible system. So you have the prison system, where a person has taken his entire life, locked behind a bar, to do nothing behind the cell, and his entire life is wasted. He cannot speak to family. He cannot speak to anyone he loves, anyone he ever cares about. And you might be like, well, that's for the greater good of being able to prevent crime. Besides for the fact that a human being is intended to be able to add to the world, to do something, and to have a life, and now he's locked in a cell, it actually doesn't prevent crime that much. Every other statistic or study made on the subject of prisons seems to show that any other form of punishment more than the current form of punishment that is today, right? So you must ask, okay, this isn't a good form of punishment. It's just not working. It's not successful. In Sweden, they made communal service, and the crime went down 30% more than it does before they made prison systems. Right? It's just not a functioning system. The problem is there are people who are actually dangerous. We're locking them away. So I first want to make sure that like people understand how bad currently the prison system is, because nobody seems to like understand how like actually disturbing it is. All that I just said now about people's life being locked away, those are people who never come out. Those who have the misfortune of actually leaving prison are now 70% more likely to do crime again once they leave it within 5 years, and 56% more likely within the first year of leaving prison. That means 56, over half percent of the people are more likely to do a crime within the first year of actually leaving a prison. We must agree that the prisons are bad. We must agree that prisons are actually bad, if that's what's going on right now, right? It gets even worse, because that's all on an ethical and moral perspective. I think it's wrong to take someone like Harvey Weinstein and then take someone like SBF, and they put them both in a lifetime prison. They got the same punishments. SBF, who did like criminal like tax evasion and like a Ponzi scheme, he got the same as Harvey Weinstein and what's his name?
The case that you're building is that the current prison system just sucks, but it's not the case for why the death penalty should be allowed.
That is true, but once I build the case that the current system sucks, then we could try to figure out other systems, and the other systems, almost all, will include death penalties, and I could go through them all, but I think that...
Okay.
Alaikum assalam.
Okay.
Anyways, so the current prison system, and all that's from like an ethical...
Can I take a bite out of you?
I had this debate before with Habibi Sandwich, so okay. Anyways, all this is on like an ethical perspective. Then there's the money perspective, which is $81 billion are used annually per year on the prison systems. $81 billion every year. That is like 5 times the amount Elon Musk makes a year. $81 billion is obviously the system we are doing is expensive, unsuccessful, and everything else.
So can you tell me why the death penalty would fix that?
Okay, if you were to allow those who do actually dangerous crimes and be locked away forever, besides for the ethical issue of punishing, Harvey Weinstein the same as punishing SBF, besides for that problem being solved, besides for that problem being solved, you also have the problem solved of there is something that is in the end of prison, and that is we kill you. We don't believe it is our value. I think, Aristotle explained that the definition of just and justice is giving someone what he deserves. That is justice. If you don't give someone what he deserves, then that is not justice. I think someone like Epstein, his deserving is the lack of death. He doesn't deserve life anymore. And when we get to the point of, and this is by a lot of people, anyone who does a crime bad enough that we're going to lock him away for the rest of his life, he should also deserve the punishment of the not living.
So let me ask
so
a
my
question.
solution would be,
Let me ask you a question because you're probably just gonna go on for I don't know how long. Let me ask this
okay,
question. So all prisoners, let's say productive prisoners, you support for them to have the death penalty as well?
no. Any non-violent crime should be able to be solved with community service and slavery. And I think that's much more moral than the current
No,
prison
no,
system.
no. Even these were people that were convicted murderers. Maybe
Okay.
the heinous of crimes, but they're productive prisoners. Do you support for them to have the death
What do you mean
penalty?
by productive prisoners?
Well, they
Yeah,
take
what
prison
they
job.
looking at?
They take prison jobs. They help with a lot of things inside the prison, like running the prison or
Right.
doing a lot of
Really?
services inside the prison,
I do not believe they should. I
running,
do not believe they should be
running,
killed
running
necessarily.
different
But I
programs
believe there
in the
should be an
prisons.
opportunity for them to eventually leave. Anyone who doesn't have the opportunity whatsoever to actually leave, then we should put them to use, either through like experiments or like we shouldn't keep paying them, giving them a three course like meals a day, food, prisons and like that. They should give us more than we take than they take. It's kind of wrong that they cost America. Why do they cost so much to America?
Well, a lot of things could be at
What
cost,
do you
but
think
that's
about
not to mean you
exile?
just
Why
kill. You
wouldn't
don't
you
just
exile
killing.
them?
You're not just killing people because
Uh,
they cost money. That's not really a
no,
justification.
we kill people because we kill people because they lost the right to life. That's why we're killing people. Because they did a crime big enough that we now lock them away forever,
Well,
and we shouldn't have
people,
to pay for that.
people that get life imprisonment have not lost their right to life. But are you saying that
I
people?
understand, but
Are you saying that?
people who shut up a school,
Are you
people who
saying
shut up
that?
a school do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you saying that those people that shot up a school, whatever you want to say, and then now are productive prisoners, you're saying they should have the death penalty?
Yeah,
I think,
100% I agree with you.
yeah, thank you. So I think if it's possible to free him eventually, then no. If he's helping us more than he's not helping us, right? But if his crime is now costing us, and he's heinous enough that we lock him away forever, yes.
Okay, so it sounds like you're not altogether for the death penalty, not 100%.
No, I'm not altogether 100% for the death penalty, but I think it is the best solution we have currently if we implement it with other things.
Because I'm not 100 against it. Like I said, I do have exceptions. Like if somebody is like that like the prison break, people may want to go on a prison break or break out of prison or become a
Dude, I
fugitive.
really can't understand you. Your mic is
Uh,
muffled.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you said.
yeah, people are talking while I'm speaking.
No,
Can
it's
you
your
repeat it?
mic.
Okay, I'm gonna just ask this question again. Can I be heard clearly by everyone?
No.
Hello? Can I be heard clearly by everyone?
No.
No. There's a static and wind noise in your mic. So,
O-
likely until he fixes this problem, let me
Okay, can
ask
I be
you,
heard now clearly?
what do you think about textile?
Can I be heard now clearly?
Yes,
Yeah.
can we hear you?
Yeah, so like I was saying, the exceptions I would say is if the person that breaks out of prison, if the prison system is failing to contain that individual, which was the point of the prison system in the first place, and they go out and commit the same crime, there is no other option but stopping that person through death. That's my only exception to that.
Um, I understand. Do you understand my approach? Is my approach understandable even to you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we disagree on like the details, but we can both agree that any system that is currently more successful and more ethical than the current system is a better system than the current system.
Okay, let's say we have a way better system. Instead of our shitty prison system that stuffs them in the box for like years until they die and costs a bunch of money, we have some community service or some like indentured servitude way that people can live out their life that actually produces value for others. Okay? For society. So now it's not costing money, but it'll like say break even. Okay?
There you go. There you go.
Are you still in favor of the death penalty in that situation?
Yes.
Why?
So this will go to a different opinion, and this is my more controversial opinion. So I understand if you don't like agree with this one. In the Western civilization, I'm not here to crap on the Western civilization, but in the Western civilization, we gave this inherent value to life. And I'm not saying that killing life is, of course, okay, but we gave this like insane God value that life is the ultimate thing you can ever reach. And besides for the fact that I don't believe in rights, I don't believe I believe we have moral, obligations. Don't kill someone is a moral obligation, but there isn't a right in actual life. There's no such thing. It's a very Western idea, but I don't agree with it. It doesn't make sense, and many philosophers don't agree with it. To suggest like someone has a right. So that understood. When someone violates someone's right, we for some reason see that other rights are now okay to be violated. So there's a certain right that you call like freedom. So how come we can take away the right of your freedom is because you violated my right of freedom, so now we violate yours. So a similar argument can be made. When you just shut up a school, you lose your right, so-called, or whatever. We lose the obligation to now...
Hello?
Difference whatsoever. If there's no difference whatsoever, then we should keep you alive, because it's a good thing to keep you alive. But if it does cost us, if it does make life slightly harder, if it doesn't actually commit the right, act that you want people to understand that like murdering is wrong in the same strength, then I think that the prison system the execution system should be implemented.
Yeah, I guess what you're kind of touching up on is where do rights come from exactly, right? So I don't know about other countries, but in Quebec, the rights are granted to individuals by the state because the state grants rights. The state has sole permission, authority to revoke your rights, all of them.
This is an ethical question, not a legal question, right?
Yeah, it is a bit of an ethical question because you're talking about the idea of rights not making any sense. So we have to dive into it a little bit, right? Because
if it's the government that gives you rights, they can also take it away, as you said. So then government can kill you.
Yes.
Like they give you the right to live. Okay, so
exactly. But in the States, the idea is that these aren't rights given to you by the government; these are God-given rights.
Yes.
Right?
Even
that
God-given
the government is responsible for protecting.
Even God-given rights are then taken away. So like the right of freedom is then taken away when you violate someone else.
Yeah, but if your freedom infringes on my rights, then the government has a responsibility to protect my freedom and remove the aggressive agent, the bad actor, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm sorry, I blanked out. I didn't hear what just happened.
The government has a responsibility to protect the rights of its citizens, and if that means infringing on the rights of other citizens that are harming people, then that is a responsibility that the government should uphold.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. So you're saying it's not like we take away your rights, it's that other people's rights overweigh your rights.
Exactly. Like if we have a mass murderer who's taking away people's rights to freedom, then the government has a responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, and I could think through it. I don't think that would necessarily contradict my idea. I personally don't believe in rights.
I'm putting pushback. I'm just giving you a little bit of pushback to think through some things. I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily.
I understand. As I said earlier, I don't really believe in rights. I believe in obligations. So we have an obligation to protect people, and we have an obligation not to kill people. But after a certain amount of like danger or harm, or somebody loses my value of not, of keeping them alive. And obviously this makes much more sense, and that's why if somebody kills let's say, like, somebody kills my mother or something, then I will have a big right to be pissed at him than a random stranger, and I wouldn't be upset that a random stranger isn't upset at him. but I should be upset. And if I'm not upset at him, then there's something wrong with me.
Well,
Yep.
you just
But
elect.
isn't it better to have the moral obligation be on the state rather than individual actors?
Obviously, I was bringing an example to prove that there isn't like an ethic, an intrinsic right, but there is a certain obligation, and the government has the obligation not to kill people as long as you don't kill too many other people.
Okay.
Or rape,
But
right?
you just elect and support to kill people because of money. That's one of the points of your position.
It's not because of money alone. It's because of a cluster of different reasons.
Not only money.
A cluster of different reasons, and one of them is money. And the reason behind money isn't because money would make it better for us. We get more money. The reason is because you violated our rights, and now in order to keep us safe, we now have to spend more money on you when we could just kill you. That doesn't make sense. It's like you punch me, and in order for me to stop punching you, I now hire 5 security guards. Or I can just punch you, and now you won't punch me.
I have a question for you, Lightning. This is a little bit off topic, so I hope you don't mind. The question is, what do moral obligations look like in a world where rights don't exist?
Very similar to the current moral obligations. Like many, just to explain this to you, my idea of moral obligations isn't an original idea. It's similar to Michael Sandel's idea of communitarianism, and it's similar to many other philosophers who never believed in rights throughout history. Rights is a very new modern, I don't think Aristotle believed in rights. No, none of the older philosophers believed in rights. It's a very modern, like Western concept of rights. You know, read Aristotle's books. He clearly didn't believe in rights.
Okay, I'm not familiar with what Aristotle's position was, so could you like elaborate on it a bit?
Yeah, I can elaborate on it. The idea is that every single person, this is Michael Sandels, just to give you a background of who Michael Sandels is, and he isn't like my role model. I don't agree with him politically on anything. I just like this concept. He is currently the professor of Oxford University on medical ethics and morality. Okay, and he currently, and he does these things where he discusses medical ethics. He built something called communitarianism, in which he believes that ethics are are an individual-based thing that then build up to a collective. And so, for example, I was born into a world, and this world is what I have to build off. So there are different people who believe different ethics. The question goes like this: am I born with a certain amount of obligations on top of me? So do I have to give back to my family? Do I or am I born on a clean slate? So Pascal believed, Pascal's a very famous Christian philosopher, he believed that yes, I am born absolutely empty and I owe nothing to anyone. But obviously most Western civilization doesn't agree with this.
All right.
I think that's pretty obvious.
All right.
So then you have all the other philosophers. Sorry?
Yeah. Just back on the death penalty. So just to get it straight, a person that has murdered somebody, been sentenced to life imprisonment, and that prisoner is living out a constructive life in prison, are you for them still getting the death penalty for that person?
No, if it would be possible that someone didn't didn't do something heinous enough that he should be killed on his own. Nevertheless, his punishment is good enough, even though he's keeping out a fulfilling life and managing to add to the world. No, I do not believe he should be killed. I have an innate problem with someone totally wasting his life away. You know, we having to pay for that because of the crime he made, and it not actually reducing crime.
What do you mean by waste? What do you mean by wasting his life away?
I don't think there is much meaning or life behind being in a cell your entire life. You know,
not giving value to society.
What?
I say, don't give value to the society.
Don't give what?
Value.
He doesn't give value to society.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't give value to society, he did a bad enough crime that like he should be locked away for the rest of his life. He's costing a lot of money, and doesn't actually decrease crime. Then yes, he should be killed.
So you said wasting a life away and costing money. Is that right?
It was the cluster of 4 things. Where exactly I'm going to draw the line, I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't exactly know at what point should I say no.
Let's make a very clear delineation. I don't think anybody here is against the death penalty if it was practical. Right. Is that fair to say? Like if we could turn prisoners, like horrible prisoners, into a fucking factory that produces energy, like turn them into batteries, right? And now they're actually productive people, members of society, against their will. Like,
yeah, I would be for that.
Well, I'm saying I'm only for the I'm saying I'm only for the death penalty if that person cannot be stopped to do their crime. That's it.
I got that. But would you be anti? The question just now was, would you be anti slavery, basically, that you use them into a like factory. Would you be against that?
No, slavery can be good. I'm just gonna throw that in there as a monkey wrench.
Right. I agree with you on that. In some contexts, slavery could be acceptable, like
Does
criminals.
anybody disagree slavery can be good?
Yes. What's the name disagreed in the beginning?
Okay.
Somebody disagreed. I forgot who it was.
No, I disagree. I don't think slavery can be good. I think slavery is objectively bad.
So are you
But
against?
I think there's scenarios.
So
There's
you.
scenarios where you have to use it to punish somebody.
So that
Like, for
is
example,
so that is good, right?
No, I wouldn't say it's good. It is still bad. It's just a necessary evil.
So punishing people is not good.
Well, paying evil with evil doesn't make you good. Just make sure
Well,
about just as evil.
we go to war. You agree that if someone attacks you, you can fight back.
Yes, I agree.
Even though you're killing people on the way. Even though you're murdering people on the way.
Okay, so what would you?
I agree, but that doesn't make you good. It just makes you.
Okay, so what would be the right thing to do? What would be the right thing to do of that so-called punishment that you don't really believe is good?
Well, in an ideal world, there would be no need for punishment.
No, in this world we're in right now, what would be good?
In this world, well, this would be good. The ideal good, stays the same. The ideal good is the objective good.
No, in order
What should we do? What would you do? You're president right now. What would you do?
A necessary evil, and that would enslave somebody that can't be stopped from committing crimes.
Oh, okay. So you're not arguing with us. You're not arguing with us.
No, he's saying that stopping somebody from hurting somebody else is evil, pretty much.
No, I'm saying you're committing a necessary evil.
You're saying that is evil. You're saying it's the evil with another evil. So if I'm stopping you, if I'm imprisoning you from doing something else, that's evil, according to what you're saying.
Okay, we're going on over here in a semantic argument. Because he's calling it evil and you don't like calling it evil, but that's ignoring the point that
I'm just pointing out the inconsistency. I'm pointing out the inconsistency in what he's saying.
I understand, but you agree that right now, if you're president and you had all the power in the world, you would implement slavery short term.
Me?
Yeah, you.
For who? Depends on for who.
A criminal who just shot up 5 schools.
Okay, sure. I think it's more productive than what we're doing with prisoners now.
Thank you. So we all in agreement. We just don't like the words we use.
He said it's evil to imprison people.
What do you think about exile them? Why killing them? You can exile them from society.
Okay, I appreciate you asked this because you asked it a few times. If it's more convenient than killing them, then definitely we should exile them. But even then, there's a certain unjust about someone who just shot up 5 schools and him getting away with it.
Yeah, you need to strike a balance between justice and then what is the good. The problem is, what does justice look like? Right? Because some people could say putting anybody through slavery, despite what they did, wouldn't be justice. Right? We have to be very clear what we mean by justice. Because then we'd be talking past each other if we don't define exactly what justice means to achieve.
Like, I don't want to give fancy definitions, so I simply explain it. I would be upset if there was a person who shot up 5 schools and now he lives in Mexico free of rent.
Yeah, I agree.
Free of charge. I would be upset about that. It means I'm not going to implement that law.
The problem is, would you let that person continue to shoot up schools?
Slaving away, picking cotton.
Would you allow that person to continue to shoot up schools?
People can disagree with me and make them wrong, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree with you. I'm just trying to figure out, like, what do we mean when we say justice?
Right, justice is the way I view justice. Justice is the way I view justice, right? I understand people might think that's slightly arrogant, but you have to view justice the way you view it, or else you can't view justice at all.
Yes, or doesn't exist?
Isn't
I think that's an interesting question. I would say, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go on.
Yeah, isn't justice about maintaining life, keeping life, as opposed to tearing it down, destroying ourselves?
That's true.
Isn't that ultimately what it is?
We're going to go into, because the point
There are philosophers that believe that.
The point of justice is to punish people that are taking away other people's, I guess, freedoms, God-given
How do you know that?
we recognize.
How do you know that? Where does that come from?
From law. I'm just just
Really? And where does law come from? Like, where did they get this definition from?
look.
What are
The
you
way I'm
asking?
speaking right
That's a
now, I'm
different argument.
expecting you to already know these things. I'm not trying to define these things. So
He's challenging me.
Where is it coming from? No, I'm serious, like, because I was at a philosophy lecture recently and we were talking about justice and, like, this idea of justice,
Etymology,
it doesn't, I mean, it's just, like, where
no,
does
I
this idea
understand,
of
but this
justice
is
come
not.
from?
I understand what your argument is. I just don't. This is not my point that was going.
Okay, can I respond to you first, Ben? Can I respond?
About the
Because
purpose
this is
of
a famous
justice.
philosophical question. It's a famous philosophical question. There are many answers. Many answers. So first of all, it's like you ask me on like if get me like correct me if I'm wrong. You're asking like where right and wrong comes from, where morality comes from. What makes morality?
I mean, justice is not just morality, right?
So the way I defined justice was giving what the innate feeling I feel when I feel something wasn't right. So if you didn't get what you deserved, I feel unjust. Which means if you worked hard and then you didn't get your money, that's unjust. And if you killed someone and didn't get your punishment, that's also unjust.
So
I would say that's totally acceptable because it doesn't matter the definition for this conversation right now.
Okay.
It was just how to enact justice or like what the purpose of it is, right? So what I was gonna say is that justice inherently its purpose is to punish people that acted unjust or not moral, immorally, right? But
Right.
we can't forget that it has to have a system implemented in it which allows for people to be forgiven, right, for whatever they have done, so that they can come back to society, right, and reintegrate. And I think we usually don't think about us being the murderer or us being the ones that are treated unfairly.
Right.
And so we can't really imagine being the ones that are on the wrong side of justice. So
I understand.
we are normally too harsh against like people that are like
No,
bad
not true.
people in our eyes. But yeah, we
True.
should also give them a chance, you know.
True. I need to go like very soon because I need to go. But I'll just add on that one point, which is something that I could agree on, is the current system where they just let you out of prison and now you have to figure out your life on your own is pretty stupid. So a very small practical implementation we can actually do is that before we let someone out, we let them out in stages and having to go to psychologists and actually seeing the world and giving them jobs, you know, actually allowing them to go to the world without just dropping them off in the middle of a huge functioning city. You know, I think that's something that for shocking no one does, and I think that's something we could implement. I think. Do you agree with me?
Yeah. I mean, interestingly enough, I think there's a really good case example on YouTube. Actually, I think his name is Titan. I don't know if you've seen his YouTube channel.
I have not.
The dude was a prisoner, and in prison he worked behind a CNC machine, and he was taught how to work on a CNC machine. And he literally made a company right after he came out of prison. He got a credit, made a company, and now he's like a millionaire. You know, and now he makes videos and teaches all other people to work on CNC machines, how to program them. He teaches them all the skills he's learned so that they get that same opportunity. And he goes from prison to prison, bringing his machines to teach other prisoners. I think he's a really good case study.
Right. So that works. Okay, fine. I have to go. Great talking to you guys.
All right, thank you.